Okay, let's get this party started. But I've been reading this book. It is called Start with Why by Simon Sinek, and it just gave me such a new perspective on why we should start with our why. There's like cat bites in it because Aspen likes to bite my books. Um, but Yes, it is on my Amazon book list. But th this is just so good because we always hear, share your why. And I think it's one of the most repetitive things that we hear over and over and over again when it comes to the world of network marketing. And it's not just with network marketing, it's in any business. And when I hear something repeated over and over again, I know that it's important. So I make sure to study it, I make sure to learn it. And Simon Sinek just does a great job at breaking this down. So while I was reading it, I was like, I need to train on this with our Her Society family. So this book is called Start with Why, and it's how great leaders inspire everyone to take action. And drop a one in the chat if you want to inspire some people to take action. Maybe it's your team to take action. Maybe it's your customers to want to take action to get them to purchase every single sale. Maybe you want to inspire your team to hop on more Zoom calls. Maybe you want to inspire your team to just really trust you in this vision with Her Society. It all starts with why. So I'm going to just break down a couple of the chapters that I've been reading with you guys because it's been so valuable for me, and I want to add that value back to you guys. So hopefully you're taking notes because note takers are money makers. And Monica, your training yesterday was so good. Thank you so much for getting vulnerable and sharing with us. And a lot of that was starting with your why. So this is, I think, the most transformational leadership concept of all time, just starting with your why. And I just want to break that down for you guys today. So if you've ever struggled with consistency, if you've ever struggled with confidence, clarity, or just connecting with the right people, this book really helps. So I suggest you listen to it, buy it, read it. But I'll break it down for you guys on why I think it is so important. So let's get into it because when you understand your why and how to explain your why, everything else just gets so much easier. Your content starts to make sense, your audience starts to grow, your team starts to thrive, and you start to build a brand that just feels more like you. So to kick this off, when we start to share and we start to, join a business like this, we assume that everyone just already knows. Well, we assume we know what our audience wants. So we assume, our audience, like we know what our audience wants to see, we know what our audience wants to hear from us. And this is where most influencers and most leaders, they get stuck at this point of assuming that they know what their audience wants to hear from them. We post what we think people want instead of what really connects with people deeply. So we like to focus on what's trendy instead of what's true. So the truth is that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you're doing it. So some questions you want to ask yourself, why do you show up? Why do you care about the beauty industry? Why do you care about wellness? Why do you believe in pharmacy? Why Her Society? When you speak from that place of why, you stop guessing on what people want to hear from you and what people want to see, and you start to connect. So, Simon Sinek, he starts this book off with a like theory called carrots and sticks. So, in the first chapter of the book, he explains carrots and sticks, and you have to read it to really understand what I'm talking about. So hopefully, I just drop clues that get you guys to want to purchase the book. But in the first chapter, he explains that a lot of businesses, they rely on discounts. They rely on promotions. They rely on pressure. They rely on flashy incentives. Do this or else energy, right? And a lot of the time, people are like, when's the next sale? I wish we just had the $6 promo. I wish we had a $12 promo. I need a free shipping promotion so that I can get more customers, right? tend to rely on a transactional motivation. But those create action, they don't create loyalty. So although all of those, incentives are great to get someone to purchase for the first time, it doesn't create loyalty. And what creates loyalty is when people connect with your purpose, when people connect with your energy, when people connect with your heart, when people connect with your transformation. They connect with your mission to help women rise. That's what we do with Her Society. We help each other rise. So that's why when we share what we do, when we share our Her Society community, when we share pharmacy, we don't want to lead with 50% commission. We don't want to lead with buy today, join my team now. Although those are things you need to share so people know the value of what we're doing, it's not something that we should be leading with. We should be starting with why. I'm here to help women build confidence, build income and freedom, right? I found something that changed my life and I'd love to share it with you. So we should be starting with why we're doing this. So why do you show up? Why do you care about beauty? Why do you believe in pharmacy and why Her Society? Whenever you're creating content on the business, of course, we want to share 50% commission, the trips, the bonuses, the car bonus, all of the checks, all those, excuse me, all those things. But we want to start with why and end with what. So in uh, in this book, he talks about something called the golden circle, which is very it was just it really caught my eye and it changed my perspective on how I want to brand, how I want to sell, and how I want to recruit. So he introduces a concept called the golden circle, where it starts with why, your purpose, your belief, and your mission. So your why should be your purpose, your belief, and your mission, and then your how, your method, your systems, and your values, and then what, the products you sell or what you offer. So with when it comes, I think we all have like our why figured out, right? If you guys are here, you know why you started, you know your purpose, like our purpose. And if you don't have one yet, you can use Her Societies. We help each other rise. It's very simple. And what we believe in and what our mission is, but our how, like, don't forget to share like our Zoom call trainings. Don't forget to share our YouTube channel, our school, our systems, our values, and then the what comes last, the beauty product, the better for you Turkish beauty, right? The 50% commission, what we offer. Most people communicate that backwards. They start with what we sell. I'm partnered with pharmacy. We have 50% commission. We, have trips, we have car bonuses, and then they go into how to get started. You're going to get a website, you're going to get trainings, you're going to get YouTube, school, and then they end with why. So the golden circle teaches you to start with why, go into how you're going to do this business, and then end with what it is. But most people and most businesses, they start with what they do. I'm partnered with pharmacy. It's 50% commission. You get brand trips, you get car bonuses, all of the things. And then they go into how. How is always in the middle, but you don't want to end with why. You want to start with why. Does that make sense? So when most people share what they have to offer in any business, they usually start with what they have to offer instead of why they are offering it. So when you're sharing pharmacy, you want to start with why you got started with pharmacy, not what pharmacy is. So most people communicate backwards. They start with what? We sell makeup. We have clean beauty. Pharmacy pays 50% commission. And then they move into how to get started. And they never even get to why because someone's going to exit out of their story, exit out of the Instagram live. They're not captivated by why you're doing what you're doing because they got bored with the what and the how. So the why, your purpose, your belief, and your mission, that captivates people to know your heart, to even want to know what you are doing. So most influencers, most content creators get lost in the noise because people are starting with what and how instead of why. So Apple does a really good job at this concept. Maybe drop a one in the chat if you have an Apple product. Drop a two in the chat if you don't have an Apple product. No shade on people that do not have Apple. But most people have Apple products. Look at I haven't seen a two yet. And if you have a, don't be afraid to put a two in the chat. We still love you, but Apple does such a great job with this. Apple is a why driven example. They're a why driven company. They don't start with we make computers. If Apple communicated like everyone else, their message would sound like, we make great computers, beautifully designed, simple to use. Do you want to buy one? That's a what first message. It's logical and it's boring and it sounds like everyone else. Apple begins with why whenever they're communicating their product. They believe that their why, what they lead with is we believe in challenging the status quo and we believe in thinking differently. So they start with why. The way, and then they go into how. So this is the golden circle. They start with why, and then they go into how, and then they end with what. Excuse me. So they're why we believe in challenging the status quo and we believe in thinking differently. And then they go into why. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed and easy to use. We just happen to have great computers. That's their what. So they didn't start with we have great computers and they didn't go into how and then why. They started why, how, what instead of what, how, why. Am I confusing you guys? This is but the golden circle, you start with why, then you go into how, and then you end with what. So Apple isn't selling computers, they're selling an identity. They're selling a belonging, they're selling a belief. They're selling rebellion, and creativity. People don't line up to buy laptops, they line up to buy who Apple says they can be. When someone is at the airport, they are proud to put an Apple computer on their lap, open that thing up, and have the Apple symbol facing the entire world. When someone that owns a Dell laptop, they don't necessarily open up their Dell laptop at the airport feeling the same way an Apple user feels when they open up their laptop. And it's because Apple starts with why. They've created an identity with their product that their consumer feels whenever they're using that product. So women join your pharmacy team for the same reason. They're not joining for eyeshadow and commission. They're joining for meaning, identity, belonging, confidence, and purpose. So when you're sharing your business, you're not leading with eyeshadow and 50% commission. You lead with what pharmacy means to you. So we want to flip how we share pharmacy. Instead of leading with 50% commission and pharmacy flyers, we want to lead with why, then go into how, and then end with what. So, an example with your words, I help women build confidence, income, and community through beauty and personal development. That's your why. This is just an example. You can make this however you want. And then how do I do that? I do that by teaching simple systems, daily habits, and authentic online branding. And what do? I partner with Pharmacy, which gives 50% commission and clean beauty products that I personally love. So instead of saying, I'm partnered with Pharmacy, you get 50% commission and clean beauty products, I love them. And I teach simple systems with daily habits and authentic online branding. And then this allows me to help women build confidence, income, and community through beauty and personal development. That's doing it backwards. You want to start with the why, go into how, and then end with what. So it just feels different. when you share that way. It doesn't feel as salesy. And there's a brain science to all of this. People make decisions with the emotional part of their brain, and it's the part that responds to why. And then they justify their purchase with logic. So if you feel like your content isn't connecting, it's not that people don't want the products you have to offer. They just don't understand why you're even partnered with Farmacy. They're watching your content and they don't know why you post this every day. They think you just want to make 50% commission because that's all you post. They don't know the deeper meaning behind why you are doing this. People know that I lost my dad, and they know that I'm in this opportunity and in this business because it turned my pain into purpose and it allows me to honor my father. So when they purchase from me, they're like, wow, I'm supporting Kat, honor her dad. They're not just purchasing another eyeshadow. So when people purchase from you, do they know why you are partnered with Farmacy? Do they know your purpose? That's what you want to share. And I suggest you make a whole Instagram video that is like an IG live that is just about what Farmacy means to you, the identity it's given you, the purpose that it's given you. So your why speaks to the part of the brain that's responsible for decision making and trust. And when you like lock that in and realize that you will connect with so many more people by starting with why, you will connect with the part of their brain that trusts you. So people follow you because they feel aligned with you. And this is why a lot of influencers grow fast without perfect aesthetic. Like if you've ever scrolled on TikTok, there are so many people that don't have aesthetic fonts or like an aesthetic page or an aesthetic kitchen or an aesthetic living room, and people are connecting with them because they see their purpose, they see their why. This is why a lot of leaders they recruit effortlessly. And this is why a lot of people attract their dream team. And that's why some people they hustle 24/7 with no momentum and no recruitment because it's just sale, 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 free shipping, 50% commission, brand trip, car bonus, 50% commission, like over and over and over again. And people don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They don't know any piece of their heart, and their brain can't connect with the trust, that decision making and the trust portion of their brain. So it's not talent, it's not luck, it's alignment. Your people need to feel aligned with you. So your why, like being repetitive with why you're doing this, it triggers trust, it triggers connection, it triggers loyalty and inspiration. So when people know and connect with your why, loyalty is something like it's one thing to get a sale, but it's one thing to build loyalty with your customers. So yesterday or on Tuesday, Ray and Shelly shared how their people from their previous company came and joined them in Farmacy. They have a loyalty with their customers. People that are loyal to you will come with you wherever you go, whether they feel like it's better or not. Like when you build loyalty with your customers, you share a Farmacy product and they can be at Target and see the same exact product for cheaper and they won't purchase it because they're loyal to you. Does that make sense? So having a one-time customer versus building trust and loyalty, those are two completely different things. So you can have a customer that purchases from you one time and then they're low on a product and they see that same product for cheaper and better at Target, maybe. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying they can look at a product, it can be marketed better, it could be cheaper and more convenient for them to purchase right then and there. But if you have built loyalty with them, they are not going to purchase that product. They're going to run low on what they have and wait for your 3 to 5 day shipping to come in. because they're loyal to you, because they know that Abby does this for her daughter who worships Jesus and hugs her Jesus pillow every single night and worships in the car. And they know that every time they purchase from Abby, they're supporting her daughter. Oh, my light went out. Right? So when they know your purpose and your why, they become loyal to you. Versus when you're just sharing with commission and leading with sales, you might get that one-time purchase, but you don't have the loyalty. So to build loyalty with your customers and with your beauty influencers and your team, they need to know why you are doing this. They need to know your heart. This is how you gain beauty influencers that work for a year. Like our commission isn't guaranteed. So to keep a team around, they need to know why your vision is important. They need to know why this business matters to you. So that goes for customers and your team. All right. So going back into the brain science of this, because this is important. Your brain has a limbic. Let me show you guys the um he gave me a like diagram. I was gonna say diaphragm. That's your stomach, right? A diaphragm. So there's a brain science to this. So if you guys can see this, you start with why, you go into how, and then you end with what. And then this is your limbic brain and your neocortex. So your limbic brain, this is where you build this is where people's trust and decision making skills are in their brain, and it connects with why and purpose. So when people hear your why, it triggers the limbic part of your brain that makes decisions and builds trust. Your neocortex, it's the logic part and it connects with the what. So you need to start with connecting with the limbic brain of the people that are following you and then end with the neocortex, which is what. So there's science to this. So the neocortex is the outer part of the brain, and that controls logic, it controls language, and it controls the rational thought. So the what is important, but it doesn't come first. So the what understands features, it understands facts, it understands numbers. So when we talk about 50% commission, $6 sign up, clean beauty, pay structure, that's all the neocortex, the outer layer of the brain. People can understand it, but they can't feel it. They don't feel anything when you say 50% commission. It's just logic. That's why someone can say, I get it, but it just doesn't feel right. Now, the limbic part of the brain, that middle part that connects with the why, that part of the brain controls decision making, trust, loyalty, that gut instinct when people are like, it just feels good to support her. The feelings, that limbic part of the brain connects to why. The limbic part of the brain, it has no capacity for language, which means people cannot verbalize why they chose you. They just feel it. They just feel like they should support you. They can't explain why. They just feel it. So this explains why someone follows one influencer over another, even if the product is the same. Your why speaks to their biology. So this should encourage you guys to lead with why more than the what. Like the what is important. It gives them the logic of it and it closes the sale, but the why captivates them and gives them that gut instinct to, I want to support Sophia. Yes, people buy with emotion and then justify with logic. Exactly. So I hope this makes sense. I thought that this was so like when I was reading this, I was like, oh my gosh, I really can't wait to trade on this. But this is why, you can say to someone, pharmacy has clean products, high pigment, and a great compensation plan, and they still don't purchase from you. That message speaks to the neocortex, just logic. But when you share why you love the products, why you want women to grow, why you believe in building income online, that goes straight to the limbic part of the brain And that's where trust lives. That's where loyalty lives. That's where decisions are made. So when you're selling online, you need to ask yourself, am I speaking to their head or am I speaking to their heart? This is why content that includes you, your story, your personality, it's why it's so important to talk about what you're sharing before posting the flyers that explain what, because they get to know your personality. They get to know your mission. It always performs better. People want to follow people, not products. So let's go into clarity, discipline, and consistency. When Simon says in this book, you need three things to build a powerful brand. Number one is clarity of why. So you need to know your mission, you need to know what you stand for, and you need to know what her society represents. And I think we all do a great job. Every single time we have a spotlight on a beauty influencer, they share how much this community is just so different. So her society exists to help women rise in confidence, create income, and build a life of purpose. Know your mission, know what you stand for, and know what we represent as a team. Number two, discipline of how. So this is where your systems come in. Posting daily, sharing your story, connecting with the 10 people, the following up, the action steps, sharing your routine, right? Filming the behind the scenes of day in the life of working with me. Like you need to show how you do this. Staying consistent. Your how is your structure. And then number three, consistency of what. Your what needs to sound, feel, and look like your why. Every post, every DM, every training, every story, every event should touch your why. People trust consistency. Consistency creates identity, and identity creates loyalty. So when people start to trust you, it's because your why is clear. If you want to build trust, your why needs to be clear. Your actions need to match your mission. Your message needs to stay consistent. You show up even when numbers are low, even when the recruitment doesn't look like it should be looking, right? You need to speak from your heart, not from hype. Trust, when you think about trust, it's the currency of leadership. Trust is the currency of leadership. And when people trust you when you share your why. People trust you when you share your purpose. People trust you when you share your mission. And they trust you when your actions match all of that. And when they trust you, they follow you, they buy from you, they join your team, they stay loyal, they refer other people to you. And they show up even when they don't, they purchase from you even when they are in Target and the peptide lip balm that they are looking at is more convenient for them to purchase right there than to wait 3 to 5 days for it to come in, to pay for shipping, and to order it from you. So trust doesn't come from perfection and having a perfect feed and the all the perfect things. It comes from alignment. Your team, they won't remember the exact strategy that you taught, but they'll remember how you made them feel. They'll remember how safe you made them feel. They'll remember how supported you made them feel. And they'll remember how inspired they feel after your calls that you do with them. They won't remember the exact thing that you taught, but they remember how you made them feel. And that's a why-driven leadership. And Southwest Airlines, do you guys like Southwest Airlines? I don't know about you, but I do. Like whenever I think about airlines, that I'll go to book with, I always look for Southwest. And Southwest Airlines, they are the most profitable airline to have ever existed. And they're a great example of a company built on a clear why. So Their why is simple. Their why is to make air travel affordable and accessible to the everyday person. Until not too long ago, they were the only airlines that would give you two free checked bags with your ticket purchase. That's what this book said, okay? But yeah, go ahead and run stats. But but they make air travel affordable and accessible to the everyday uh per person. So their entire company culture is aligned around why. They don't have assigned seating, they don't have fancy meals, and no extra baggage fees. They actually just started charging for bags like a few months ago. But up until a few months ago, and this book was probably written, um, I don't know, but I actually bought this book like 3 years ago and I picked it up again. So people like the culture of Southwest Airlines, the people that work there like to work there. And it's because their why is clear. So customers didn't care that they weren't luxurious, and employees loved working there. And pilots feel emotionally connected to a mission, not just a paycheck. So Southwest was profitable for decades while most airlines struggled. During 9/11, they were the only airlines that made profit that year. So they know what they're doing when it comes to why. People were loyal to their purpose, not the perks. Just like people will be loyal to you because of your purpose. So Apple and Southwest, they prove something powerful. They prove that when you start with why, you don't compete on price. You don't chase customers. And I'm sure, Alma probably has her airline that she books with every single time. Like if you guys fly a lot, you have an airline in mind that you're like, I'm just gonna go purchase from them because I know like I don't even want to look at the other things. Because I know that when I fly with them, everything works out right. I have my points. I don't care if another airline's cheaper. My points are here, my perks are here. I'm flying with them. Um, and that's loyalty. So when you start to share your why, when you start to build trust and loyalty, you don't have people aren't going to compete with your price. You don't have to chase your customers. You don't have to beg for sales. You attract loyalty and you create movement in your business. So why isn't marketing? It's a magnetic alignment. So pharmacy starts to become different when you become different. And the products that we have, they're just tools for a mission much larger than makeup, wellness, skincare, and beauty. Okay, so few action steps. I want you guys to write your personal why statement. It should be 1 to 2 sentences. And this should be something you repeat every time you come on your Instagram. Even if you feel like you've talked about it too much, over and over and over again. So that people know why when they see a post, they're not just saying, oh, this girl's so annoying. She's literally posting about pharmacy all the time. They think, wow, that girl really shows up for her dad that she lost. That girl really shows up for her kids. That girl really shows up for her teenage self that had a baby at 16. You should be so strong on your why that when you post, that's what they think about. They don't think pharmacy again. They know that it's more than what the products. So do people know why you are doing what you're doing, or do they just think you're here to make 50% commission? So why do you show up daily? Why does beauty matter to you? And why do you want to see other women rise? Like people that follow me, they know I always felt like I was undervalued and underappreciated and underestimated. I was never the person someone would pick out of the crowd. So I want to help other women rise because I know there's someone else out there that feels undervalued, underappreciated, and underestimated. And I want to help that person rise. And I use pharmacy as a vehicle to do that. When someone hears that, do you think they're going to be like, this girl's so annoying trying to get people on her team? They're going to look and they're going to be like, that girl helps other women become someone they never thought they could be. That's what people need to feel whenever they see you talking about a lip peptide. They need to see through the lip peptide and see that girl helps other women rise because no one ever believed in her. So, the first step, write your personal why statement, 1 to 2 sentences. Number two, I want you to look at your last 9 posts. Did you lead with what or why? And shift at least 3 future posts this week to why first. Alma's been doing a really good job at sharing her story on her page too, if you guys want to use her as an example. Um, and number three, share your why on your story today. Once you write that 1 to 2 sentences, I want you to go on your story and just practice sharing it. Maybe go on there and say, I realized something today. Most people see what I do, but they don't know why I do it. My mission is to help other women rise. I remember just, a year ago before I started this, I was on the other side of the screen and I felt X, Y, and Z. And now I want to bring that power out of other women. That's why I show up every day. The products are just my vehicle. The products are just the tool. The mission is the heart. I have a little script here, and you guys can make this however what it would make you sound, like however you would sound. But I encourage you guys to share that today. So remember, when you lead with why, you build a brand that lasts. You attract the right people. You create loyalty. You're not just creating likes. And you step into the kind of leadership that starts to transform lives. And when you know your why, you're unstoppable. No one can stop you. No one's gonna watch your stuff and think, that girl's so annoying. They're gonna watch your stuff and they're gonna say, that girl's so inspiring. All right. So I hope that helped. I hope that gave you a different perspective on why you should start with why. I still have the rest of the book to go, so maybe I'll do a part 2 on this. But this is such a great book for you guys to really like master your skill set. And I've been doing this for 7 years, and I'm still reading books on how to share my why. So if you're wondering, like, how do I share my why? I've already shared it. You can always perfect your skill set. You can always get better at what you're doing. So never stop learning, never stop teaching, and never stop growing. All right. I love you guys so very much. I hope you have a great, happy holiday. And if there's no questions, we can take a little selfie before we go.